this is so weird not talking to you every week. Of course, there are plenty of things that have happened to me, and I have things to share with you. So the company that I used to own, when we sold that company, we made the other company contractually promise to keep on all of the employees because we didn't want anyone to be jobless. And they were closing down the office and having everybody work from home. So we let all of the employees take the chairs from our office of the company that I owned. And one of the employees had a chair that they weren't happy with, and I gave them the chair that I had at my desk at that company. And I took one of the conference table chairs, and we bought the conference table and chairs used when we bought it, and they weren't comfortable. And why am I telling you all of this? Well, I was sitting in that chair the other day. Again, a terrible chair, but I didn't know this was going to happen. And I've said before that I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, and if you've seen the Fusilli Jerry episode, you already know where this is going. Or at least an inkling of it. I was sitting in the chair, and thankfully, I leaned back in the chair, and that's when it broke. And by broke, it didn't just casually break. Look at this photo. The piston used to lower and raise the chair broke off and punctured the bottom of the chair and went all the way through the cushion. And lucky for me, I was leaning back, or I would have almost had an anal probe. And I don't even know how I would explain that to my wife. No one would believe me. Yeah, the chair broke and it shot right in my keister. I just spit all over myself. Anyway, hi! I have a prop to get to today, and I was looking at a bunch of stuff online, and I was trying to find out when the new Indiana Jones movie was coming out, and watching a bunch of videos, and the overlords that watch all of our internet searches obviously paid attention to that, because when I was on Facebook, going to my favorite Facebook nerd groups, I started getting ads for Indiana Jones merchandise that people were selling, and I found an affordable Indiana Jones diary, and it is one of my favorite props from the Indiana Jones movies, and I wanted to make one, and this one seemed affordable, and I decided I'm going to see if I can make this acceptable to me. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to work on an Indiana Jones prop and try and make an affordable replica. And that's what I'm going to do on today's Try to Finish Something. So here is the diary that I picked up after seeing those Facebook ads from Loken V, Loken Roman numeral 5, Lucan V. I have no idea how to pronounce the site, but I'll put the link in the video description. It was just about $30 and just over $50 with shipping, and I was wooed. Wooed. I was in love with the photos on their site, and I have a feeling they're not going to be as good as shown in the pictures, and I have seen some amazing Indiana Jones diaries, and the good ones that I've seen are $200 or more, but I just wanted to see what I could do with this one, and it's looking good so far. It has a lot of loose documents, which are really nice, and they look pretty good. The issue is they're all one-sided and just printed on copy paper, but they really do look good. The photos and stuff could be better, and I may actually print some on photo paper, but for the money, the stuff looks pretty good. My problem with the loose documents is the same with the book itself. Everything is clean and just on white copy paper, and looking through all of this, this screams for some weathering, and I have zero reference photos, and I'm not going for screen accurate. Man, this book is way too clean. I want this to be worn and traveled and be really dirty and used, and I think I'm going to start with the cover. Obviously, it's not real leather, but I'm going to scuff it up with some sandpaper and then try and color it a bit with some brown and black water-based oils. Now, the parts that I scuff and damage will absorb the paint better and darken the most, so let's just go for it and see what happens.
I'm going to randomly get brown and black oils on it and dab it off with a paper towel. My plan is to have the edges and spine get the most dark because I would assume that the skin, oils, and wear would discolor those areas the most. And I can't believe when the new Indy is finally released, Harrison Ford is going to be in his 80s. Dear God, Han Solo is getting old. I mean, Indiana. I mean, me. I want to make sure that I dirty up the front and the back, too. And, of course, the spine. I also want a few coffee cup stains, like this was sitting around uncared for and things were set on top of it. I'm just using the same oils and coating the bottom of a paper cup, and then pressing that into the cover and dabbing it off randomly just a bit. I don't want it to look purposeful and more of an accident. I will add more things like this, and it's always about the layers, some subtle and some more in your face. And that's what's going to sell the believability. Like, my hands are a mess and I'm getting color on the pages and the ends, but I don't care because it would get dirty, and that's what I'm working on next. I'm going to add some color and staining to the edges, keeping it random, some darker and some lighter. Don't worry, this book has a lot more in store for it. And I know there are groups dedicated to the accuracy of this diary, and I've seen some of them, and their work is breathtaking. This will not be that. It will not be screen accurate. It's just going to be my take on it, inspired by, as they say. And my voice cracked a little bit there. Anyway, someday I may get together the stuff to do a more accurate prop, but this just seemed like fun with the anniversary and the new film coming out next year. I will also need to add some stains to the inside of the pages as well. It's just way too white, and the pages are too crisp. I'm going to wrinkle up some of the pages and just go through and make sure that I have some general grime and weathering randomly all throughout the book. I mean, this is a world-renowned explorer's diary. It has traveled around the world, and it needs to look like it. There are also some spots that are supposed to be, ink spills and smears, and I'm going to take some straight black water-based oils and dab it in just those spots to get some variation in color, like the ink bled into the fabric of the paper instead of that uniform black print that I'm seeing everywhere. All right, now the damage. There are torches and flames and so much fire that Indiana Jones is always around, and in my version, there have been some close calls with fire and this book. I would assume that the pages and the edges have caught fire numerous times and of course put out, and who doesn't love setting their props on fire? I think that could be the first time I've ever said that. Now, this will definitely be random. Let's burn some pages and see what happens. Now, this page here is no longer going to be ripped. Instead, let's have it burned in half. I really like that. Let's try and do the same to add some uneven edges to these cut pages, too. That's actually harder to catch fire than I thought it was going to be. I think it's because they're pressed so close together. Here we go. Now it's harder to put out than I thought it was going to be. Man, I actually really like that. Now, how about a part that maybe a page was held over a candle flame trying to see something, or use that heat and lemon disappearing ink trick or something, and something would be burned through a few pages in the middle. All right, maybe it's just me. I have no idea what you're thinking as you're watching this, but I'm really liking this. Now it's time to wrinkle some of those loose items and dirty and weather some of those too. Some of these things will get ripped and some will remain clean, and let's just see what we can do to make this look random. Like, let's take one of these maps and use that last match and singe the edges of one of those too. And on the other map, see, I'm always trying to come up with a story. I'm imagining that they've got the map spread out on a table and they're planning out their next adventure and setting coffee cups on it, and it's getting coffee cup stains on there too. It seems reasonable. All right, this next thing, I don't know, it might be too much. I'm just looking around for a bucket that will fit the book. I'm going to take my dirty brush water and some paint pigments, and I'm just going to dunk the entire book underwater. This should wrinkle the pages and dirty some of the white and keep it really, really random. I have done this before, but it was with a thicker paper, never just with copy paper. Let's just test it on this what's included sheet that they sent me. I don't know, I can't tell. What the heck? Let's just add some more pigment and just go for it. I'm going to throw in a few random pages and then I will completely soak those and lay those out flat to dry. I'm just stalling. I don't know why, but I'm now afraid to do it. Let's just go for it. No turning back now. And I'm just flipping through the pages, trying to get it really covered with the dirty water. And this thing is getting soggy. But look, here's my thought. Indiana Jones is an explorer. How many rivers like the Nile did he fall into or have to swim across? And do you imagine Indy with the book held daintily above his head between his pointer finger and thumb as he's swimming for his life? No, this is Indiana Jones, and this book has been through and witnessed it all. All right, enough justification. Let's take this book out into the sun and let it dry out. That darn water washed off my coffee ring. I'm gonna have to add that back on. You know, the pages actually look pretty good. The water gave them a nice texture and wrinkle with some good random stains inside. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of dust here and there with the straight paint pigment and start putting this back together. There are pigments and paint all over my desk, and I'm okay with the random weathering and coloring that it's getting just from laying in that grime. I don't know why I'm surprised, but I really like how the water expanded the pages. This book looks like it is chocked full of secrets and solved puzzles and entries. This book looks like it has had adventures and really helped Indiana Jones out of some binds. I really love the burns and the wrinkles and texture that the water gave it. And I do love the candle burn in the center. Again, I wasn't going for screen accurate, but I think this is now a believable prop. All right, here it is packaged up, and I'm unwrapping it for the dramatic flip-through reveal. I think I'm calling the weathering of this Indiana Jones diary finished, and I really do like how it came out, and I hope you did too. And I hope it inspired you to work on something of your own. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking, commenting, and becoming a Patreon member, or grabbing something off my Amazon wish list, which is pinned to the top of the comments and in the video description. If you didn't like it, as always, just keep it to yourself, and we'll see you next time as we try to finish something. And sometimes the something isn't even Star Wars.